The snow fell in thick, silent sheets, blanketing the forest in a frozen stillness. Ellie Sanders tightened her grip on the steering wheel of her old station wagon. Her son, Jonah, sat quietly in the back seat, clutching his stuffed bear, Buddy, as the headlights barely pierced the swirling snow. "Are we lost?" Jonah asked softly. Ellie glanced at the gas gauge, which was teetering dangerously close to empty. "Not lost, Buddy, just finding a new path." Truthfully, Ellie didn't know where they were. After losing her job and their apartment a month ago, she had packed up their belongings and set out for a fresh start in the next town over. But the snowstorm had derailed everything. Now, with no phone signal and no clear direction, Ellie felt the weight of her worries pressing down harder than ever. Just as Ellie was about to give up, the faint outline of a building appeared through the snow. She parked the car and helped Jonah out. "Stay close," she whispered as they trudged through the drifts. The building was a small, weathered cottage with a sagging roof and a crooked chimney. It looked abandoned, but the front door creaked open easily when Ellie knocked. Inside, the cottage was cold but surprisingly clean. There was a small fireplace, a worn sofa, and a kitchen with empty cabinets. "Is this our new home?" Jonah asked, his wide eyes filled with hope. Ellie knelt down and hugged him. "Just for tonight, sweetheart. Let's get warm first." She lit a fire with some old wood stacked near the hearth and wrapped Jonah in a blanket. As the flames crackled, Ellie explored the cottage and found a journal tucked into a drawer. Its leather cover was faded, and inside, the pages were filled with neat handwriting. The journal belonged to a woman named Margaret, who had lived in the cottage years ago. Ellie read aloud to Jonah. "December 24th. Times are hard, but I believe kindness can light even the darkest winter. I will leave this place better than I found it, for anyone who might need it." Jonah smiled sleepily. "She sounds nice." Ellie nodded. She felt an unexpected warmth in her heart, as if Margaret's words were meant just for them. The next morning, Ellie ventured outside to explore. She spotted a trail leading from the cottage to a nearby road. Jonah stayed behind, playing by the fire, while Ellie followed the path. At the end of the trail, she found a general store. The bell jingled as she entered, and a cheerful older man named Henry greeted her. "Haven't seen you around before. Snowstorm got you stuck." Ellie hesitated but nodded. "We found an old cottage nearby. I wasn't sure where else to go." Henry's eyes lit up. "Evergreen Cottage? That place has been empty for years. Folks say it has a way of helping people when they need it most." Ellie explained her situation, and Henry immediately offered her supplies: firewood, canned food, and even a small Christmas tree for Jonah. "Don't worry about paying now," he said with a wink. "Just pay it forward someday." Word spread quickly through the small town about Ellie and Jonah staying at Evergreen Cottage. Soon, neighbours began stopping by to drop off warm blankets, fresh bread, and even toys for Jonah. Each visitor shared their own story about how the cottage had once helped them during tough times. "I stayed there after my barn burned down," one man said. "Margaret took care of me when I was a child," an elderly woman added. Ellie began to realise that Evergreen Cottage wasn't just a house, it was a symbol of hope for the community. As the days passed, Ellie found herself helping the townspeople in return. She repaired shelves at the general store, shoveled snow for an elderly neighbour, and baked cookies for the local school's holiday party. Slowly, her confidence grew. One evening, as Jonah decorated the little Christmas tree, he looked up at Ellie and said, "I like it here, Mom. Do you think we'll stay?" Ellie smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. For the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of hope. "Maybe we will," she said. On Christmas Eve, the townspeople gathered outside Evergreen Cottage, surprising Ellie and Jonah with carols singing and a feast. They brought lights and decorations, transforming the cottage into a warm, festive haven. As Ellie stood on the porch, surrounded by laughter and music, she felt tears welling up. She had never experienced such kindness. One of the neighbours handed her a sealed envelope. Inside was a deed to the cottage, signed by the town council. "This place has always been for people who need it," Henry said. "And right now, that's you and Jonah." Later that night, Ellie tucked Jonah into bed. She sat by the fire, reading more of Margaret's journal. The final entry read, "The greatest gift is the one we give to others. If you've found your way here, know that you are never truly alone." Ellie whispered a thank you to Margaret and gazed out the window. The snow had stopped, and the stars sparkled brightly above. For the first time in a long while, Ellie felt something she thought she had lost: faith in the kindness of others and the belief that better days were ahead. In the months that followed, Ellie turned Evergreen Cottage into a place for others in need. Just as it had been for her, the community continued to rally around her and Jonah, proving that the spirit of Christmas wasn't just for one day, it was a light that could shine all year long.